Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann, and with me here today is
Neil.
And he's going to talk about a fun and interesting issue that he's had recently.
I wouldn't call that fun.
Not for you, but
No.
the visuals it creates for me when you tell me that you have a kidney stone.
Yeah.
I think when you say that, everybody automatically just thinks about a rock coming out of your dick.
Yeah.
And you screaming while it's happening.
Everybody thinks about the pain of pissing it out, but it's like, it's more about when because it moves from your kidney to your bladder and whatever that, that tube is in your body.
I think it's your ureter.
I don't know. It might
to
be
your urethra.
Well, that's from your bladder to your urethra. I don't know. But either way, it's when it's moving out of your kidney is when you feel it. And it's like,
yeah.
First I thought my back was like, I was like, man, my back's freaking sore today. What the hell? And then I try to crack it and I just kind of sit differently and it just keeps getting worse and worse. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? And then it's not even like a sharp pain. It's more of like it feels like you're like a super, super bruise when you push on a bruise, it's like just super discomfort. And, it moved its way over kind of like your abs and it moves it way over there and then down to your nuts.
Jesus.
It fucking hurts. And then it feels like I felt like I got kicked in the nuts for like the whole, and then you get nauseous. And I ended up I decided to call the urgent care. There was one really close to me to where my work is, and I called them, and they got me on the phone with the nurse, and they said, well, actually, you should go up to this other facility because they have a CT machine, and we're gonna want to scan you anyways. So if you go up there, they can diagnose you and then scan you right away, and then figure it out. And I was actually surprised at how how professional everybody was, and how fast they were, I went up to the urgent care and it's basically the guy, he had an idea of what he thought it was. He thought it was a kidney stone and bring me over to the CT machine. They scan you and that doesn't take long at all. It's not like an MRI. MRI takes forever. A CT one was just like 5 minutes at the most. And got the CT scan and it was like, yeah, we can see the stones. So,
as in plural?
Well, I got 2 more in there. And
Christ.
So they give you, right away, after they figured that out, they gave me a shot, some sort of shot on my hip for pain, this nausea.
Like literally in the meat and the side of your hip?
Yeah, I mean that, and then they gave me a nausea pill, and that one just dissolves in your tongue, because I think a lot of people throw those up if they're nauseous and they try to swallow them. Yeah. So those ones just dissolve on your tongue, and I think I pretty much passed it that night, which is lucky for me because the doctor said that you can have those and they can last for like up to 7 days, trying to pass it through that main tube. He says as soon as it hits your bladder, you're going to feel a huge sigh of relief. Pretty much later that night, he just drank a ton of water. I mean, at just one point, I was just like, all of a sudden it's like everything kind of went away and they wanted me to screen my piss to get the stone because if they can get your stone, they can tell you what caused it. And I saved one, and then I had an appointment with a urologist a week later and met up with her, and she x-rayed me and was like, oh, you got 2 more stones in there. And then I gave her the stone. She goes, it looks like a calcium stone. She goes, I'm pretty sure that's what it is, but we're going to send it in anyways. And that's the most common one. And she told me, and it was pretty small. It was smaller, like a little smaller than a BB.
You said it was like 2
centimeters is what she said. Is what they said when they scanned it. And she told me the smaller ones hurt more. She goes, everybody likes to brag about these big kidney stones that they piss out. I mean, sure, it hurts when you piss it out.
Who the fuck brags about, I passed a kidney stone the size of a marble. Now my dick looks like an overcooked hot dog where it forks at the end.
Which, I mean, I didn't feel it at all when I pissed it out. But, I mean, that's probably where the ones that you hear about people that are, forcing the piss out and then there's blood and shit everywhere. But it was a painful experience, and they scanned me, and I have 2 more still in there. And she thinks it's a calcium one, and it's like what you can do is just, you basically up your citrus. So either throw some lemon juice in a bottle, if you're drinking water, just throw some lemon juice in there, and then she recommended some other, I think Propel. She said if you're going to drink a lot of, because I guess their number one ingredient is citric acid.
So the citric acid gets into your system and kind of breaks it up and breaks it loose. And...
Yep.
Well, here I just brought up on the old Dr. Google path here. I was correct in when I said ureter. When a stone blocks the ureter, the urine cannot get through. This causes back pressure on the kidney, which then causes the pain. Pain can be felt anywhere along the pathway and may be up in the back or side, referred to as a flank pain, or it may extend to the lower abdomen or groin area.
Yeah, so I had all of that, and it fucking sucked.
I was shocked at how fast you had that thing out.
I was glad.
I don't know if you recall this. Our friend Matt, years ago, like 15 years ago, had kidney stones.
Oh, no, I don't remember
Or had a kidney stone.
Yeah.
Okay, he had one that was so big, they didn't think he could pass it.
Oh, wow, so they thought they'd have to operate?
They used a laser to zap it, to break it into pieces he could piss out. But now they gave you meds for this, right?
Yeah. Well, one of them was that I forgot to mention too was this other muscle relaxer that they actually give to people with prostate cancer and stuff because it relaxes all of the muscles, basically your fucking colon, all of your intestines down there and all that area.
Yeah, but did you have like leaky shits?
No.
No piss dribbles?
Nope.
Like you're just sitting there like, uh-oh.
No.
Because he was peeing army green.
Jesus.
From the meds and the treatments. Yeah. He was pissing. You don't remember that at all?
No.
He pissed army green, and it was around the time back when we used to do those scavenger hunts.
Yep.
And one of the challenges I came up with was gargle your own urine for some points, and I gargled mine, which it tasted funny because it's piss and it's very salty and gross. He gargled his, and it was that army green colored stuff from all those kidney stone things.
Well, the meds probably don't exactly make it smell or taste any better.
Right, but his issue was more like all the time drinking soda, so he had to drastically change his diet. And I laid that one at your feet, and you said you don't really drink pop.
Not as my main drink anymore. I drink, like, at work. I used to pound down Diet Dew, like, and I would end up drinking 6 of them at work.
Jesus Christ!
And so I'm just like, this is way too much. And
it's a good way to get diet stomach cancer.
Yeah, but I just do I'll do Crystal Light now, basically.
Yeah,
and water. It doesn't bother me. But I'll drink pop if someone's. It's not like I'm off the pop. I'll drink it at someone's place if they have it.
So when you pass this fucker now, do they give you like a plastic piss hat to sit in the toilet to pee into filter, or what?
Well, he told me to pick up a urine screener at Walgreens when I went to go pick up the other prescriptions they gave me, which one of them he was going to give me a Vicodin, and I'm like, dude, they gave me Vicodin for my wisdom teeth, and they literally do nothing for me. I don't know why. For some reason, they don't do anything for me as far as pain or anything. So what he ended up giving me is Percocet. So I'm like, God damn it, do I really need this? And because I hear all these bad stories about people getting addicted to freaking opioids because the Percocet and stuff. And I think my recommended dose was like a half of one. But considering I think that I pretty much pissed it out that night. I didn't even take them.
Yeah, that's like the script he gave me for Percocet with my hernia surgery, and I was like, I don't even want him. He's like, What do you mean? I'm like, I'll just take ibuprofen. He's like, all right. I don't want to. You hear all the, like you said, all the horror stories about people that are just taking a light prescription of opioids after a medical procedure of some sort, and then they get hooked on it. And I'm sure you'd have to be on it for an extended amount of time, from like a back injury, neck injury, sporting injuries. A lot of professional wrestlers abuse that shit and get hooked. And yeah, it's terrible, and I don't blame you for not wanting it.
Yeah, and I mean, unless I was, like, if for some reason one of the other ones moved its way down, or if I really was in pain, and that's the only reason I was really contemplating taking it. But the one thing he told me, too, is that he goes, after they kind of were sending me off from the urgent care, is he told me, if it starts getting worse, than it already is, it's because it's such a weird way, because I consider, they always ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much pain are you? And it's like, well, I mean, it's like, it didn't feel like I got stabbed. I mean, I guess if so that would be a 10 or shot.
Hang on. How can you use that as a base of reference if you've never been either shot or stabbed?
Well, I've been cut, which I imagine just multiply that by a good amount, and that's a stab.
Yes, because you slice your finger open, dick it around, smashing bottles like we have.
I've had a couple stabs where there's been something deep in there, and I figured,
oh yeah,
with glass.
I'm gonna isolate that.
Yeah,
just you saying it was deep in there.
Yeah. So. But yeah, I mean, I just rated it as an 8 when I went in there. I'm like, it's an 8. It's basically extreme discomfort. And
was it enough that you just only wanted to lay down and walking made it worse or anything like that? Or
yeah, I laid down because we have a couch in our office. So I laid down for a while. I'm like, and I'm like, do I really need to go in? I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And everybody thinks that they're their own doctor now. And I figured I'm not going to go in there if it's something stupid and they're going to charge me for it. So I go online and I start researching it, and people say it's kidney stone. It could be kidney failure and like kidney disease.
Don't you love that? It goes all the way from a simple issue that's very common, that's easily treatable and in no way going to end your life to, oh my God, you might end up on a fucking transplant list by the end of the week.
Well, it's one of those things too, where it's pretty common overall, but it's some people have kidney stones. You got to get in there, because if it gets blocked completely, you're going to need surgery, and it could actually, rupture. And then you get whatever that, what that name of that disease is when your appendix bursts inside of you. I can't remember.
Sepsis?
Yeah, you can get sepsis from it.
See, and I've always, I guess, from the ignorance of not being a doctor, but way back when Matt had his kidney stone, I just thought, why the fuck are you getting this? Isn't that like an old man disease?
Well, my friend Derek actually had them the same, like probably about the same age, his early 20s.
Yeah.
And I remember him talking about it. He just told me about how bad it was and stuff. And he pissed them out, but didn't see them ever, and just passed them. And he told me how much it sucks. He's like, man, I hope that never happens again. And I think that, they couldn't test his to tell him what kind it was or what he can change in his diet to prevent it. So,
well, you talked about buying a piss screen.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of like a section of window screen that you're just pissing into to catch it.
Well, Walgreens didn't have those. So, because when I asked the pharmacist if they have them there, he says, no, I don't think we've ever carried those. And he goes, just go to the dollar store and buy a colander or whatever. And so I ended up doing that. Just a small little one and pissing into that.
But they're so big. The holes in those things are so big.
What was a screened one?
You should have just bought and this is how I picture somebody having to fish them out of the toilet. Literally, like a fish tank net.
Just
piss into a fish tank net
for
because
minnows.
It's got such a tiny, tiny net.
Yeah, which actually mine, considering the holes were that big, I actually wish I would have done that instead, because it got caught in one of the holes, and I was like, man, I wouldn't have wanted to fish that fucker out.
Well, sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
I guess I would rather fucking fish it out than have to sit through it again. So
yeah. Well, I was on the opposite side of the spectrum, as you may know, the Beast, her dad, who's deceased now, my almost father-in-law. He died because he was in renal failure, and at the end, he was in such bad shape that he was going for dialysis 3 times a week for 2 to 4 hours at a time, and he got so sick of it, he's like, I'm done.
Wow.
I'm ready to go. I'm old enough. I've lived a fruitful life, and I'm sick of suffering, and I can't keep doing this shit, and he gave up. And yeah, it took him like a week and a half to die from all the chemicals, and he went into a coma. So yeah, you get toxic shock.
Yep.
And then you go into a coma, and then you pretty much your whole body shuts down. That's what happened to him.
Have you heard of this guy that I think he's from Australia? He's 104 or 106, and he wants to die, and it's illegal in euthanasia in pretty much almost every country. But I think he's going over to Sweden because it's illegal if it benefits the person doing it.
So if they're using it as a means of trying to get like life insurance,
or just personal gain, basically, of any
escaping
kind.
debts.
Yep, something like that. Then it's considered illegal. But apparently it's all being set up, and he's going to be flying out there.
You don't have to go to Sweden for euthanasia. I'm sure he knows somebody that knows how to tie a rope into a knot and hang it from the ceiling of the basement.
Yeah, but he's probably got money to burn, so might as well see Sweden before we go.
I'm going to go and see. Where's he from again?
Australia.
Oh, I'm going to go see the fjords, and then they're going to fucking put me down. Just like an old dog that won't stop chewing his ass, and then he runs out in the street and gets hit by a car.
Yeah, I don't know if that's how it's going to go
Foster's. Down. Australian for beer. Well, now, this guy, when I was in high school, he was a grade older than me, and he went to the same schools I did all throughout also. So we rode the bus together at elementary and middle school and junior high, and then at high school, obviously we're driving. But he told me that he went to go visit his grandfather in the hospital when he had kidney stones.
Yeah.
And he was walking up to the room, and they said, he's passing it right now. Why don't you just sit down the hall and wait? And he was down the hall, and he heard just like, ah! 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 Ah!
Yeah, he must have had a big one that he was trying to piss out then. So.
You got fucking lucky.
I guess. I mean...
Well, Matt's getting bionic laser shot into his body.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why it took him so long to conceive a child, or maybe well, he got that testicular cancer too, so... Jesus Christ, he's had a lot of ailments. Interact with the show on Twitter at What Do We Call It? That is at What Do We Call It? You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/What Do We Call It podcast show. For the What Do We Call It podcast, I'm Jmann.
And Neil.
And that's the end.
There's been something deep in there.